This evening is Njoki Shege. This is a special edition of the Bulletin. Bearing in mind, we've come to the end of the presidential debate series, starting with the Nairobi gubernatorial debate a few weeks back, the Deputy President's debate last week, and today the presidential debate has taken place. And that's where we want to begin this broadcast, by quickly recapping a few of the issues that were brought up in those two debates. And we start with the one that's just come to an end, where Citizen TV's Yvonne Okwara and Eric Latif sat down with Dr. William Ruto, the Deputy President, to talk about a wide range of issues. Let's quickly recap what the Deputy President had to say on the question of leadership and integrity.
Mr. Deputy President, there's public perception that associates you with a rather good appetite for acquisition of property, particularly land. And this has been mentioned many times. Questionable acquisition of land, this has been said publicly, Taita Taveta, in Transmara, the former Vice President's house, the late Joseph Murumbi, and others. In fact, there was a conviction in court with regards to 100 acres of land that you were ordered to surrender back to its rightful owner and also pay some reparations. Does this public perception affect you?
For your information, that's why I am proposing in our manifesto to deal firmly and squarely, institutionally, with a fight against corruption. Because allegations are made, left, right, and center. Any piece of land that I have is legally acquired. In fact, I think we need to discuss the Muteshi land. You've talked about the 100 acres. I was a victim of fraudulent sellers of that land. What the court ordered me to do was to pay for the 3 years I had occupied the land. And they calculated and said the income from this land would be approximately 5 million shillings for 3 years. And that's what I paid. The people who sold the land to me were taken to court for fraudulently selling the piece of land to me. Those people are in court.
Well, in that 90-minute debate, which was more of an interview, bearing in mind the Azimio One Kenya candidate did not show up, the Deputy President was also asked his views on the cost of living, food security, and of course that was tied to the past performance of the now outgoing Jubilee government. This is what he had to say.
Galana Kulalu project, Honorable Deputy President, was launched during the first term. What happened? What went wrong? Why did it fail?
The Galana Kulalu project was conceived. In fact, what happened is the first 10,000, the pilot on the first 10,000 program took place. In fact, the first harvest of maize in that program came into being. And the recommendations from the trial on that project was we needed to build a dam because the water from the river was not sufficient to do the Galana Kulalu project. We needed to scale up now and do the dam so that the water that was available, because the soils research and the trials showed that the soils could actually support the production of maize and other cereals. Unfortunately, it didn't move from there because we didn't get the dam sorted.
And with Kenya's national debt a great concern, the moderators at that just concluded debate also wanted to hear from the Deputy President on how we got here and how do we get out of this position with Kenya's debt headed towards 9 trillion, with that debt ceiling raised to 10 trillion. This was his response on the national debt question.
Honorable Ruto, you just last week in an interview with the international press said you will not be entertaining discussions around renegotiating our debt. In fact, with respect to your competitor who is not here with us today, when he brought up the issue, you in fact called his statement on that condescending and reckless. Mr. Deputy President, are you tonight changing your position and saying you will renegotiate and seek to restructure our debt?
Not at all. I still believe, as I stand here, that it is reckless for anybody to say we cannot pay our debts. I believe that we have what it takes to pay our debts. And mark you, what we were discussing about VAT is very different from negotiating our debts.
But it is tied to the IMF facility, which is a loan.
It's completely different.
How so?
What we cannot entertain as a country is a position that we cannot pay. We are in a position that we can't service our debt. We cannot. We need to go out there and renegotiate our debt. I think that would send the wrong signal.
Well, that was one of two debates that took place today at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. The earlier debate was meant to involve Professor George Wajackoyah of the Roots Party and David More Wahiga of the Agano Party. Only David More Wahiga showed up. And the moderators then asked him about what he would do in regards to the cost of living. This was his discussion around that particular topic.
We have said we shall introduce subsidies into other food products. That's number one. Number two, we have also said that we are going to reduce pay by 50% so that Kenyans can have money they can take home with. And that is something that will benefit about 16, 17 million Kenya shillings. If you are earning about 25,000, you'll be able to take an extra 1,000. If you are earning about 35, 40, that's another 4,000. We have also come and said to spur growth, throw some money into the economy. We shall waive away tax penalties that are accrued after the day we are sworn.
And in our last recap of the debate that was, the Agano Party candidate was also asked about his views on the war on corruption and what he would do differently. This was his discussion around that particular topic.
I think the first thing I would like to say with pleasure is that there will be no monkeypox billionaires in my government. And secondly, I'm waiting if the president doesn't do it before I come into power, just like he did with UNGA, and I'm thankful. I have to be the president who will announce, and not just announce who the KEMSA billionaires are, but get the money back from them. I appreciate it will not be easy, and it has been said it will not be easy. I will seek to work with everybody. I will seek to work with our friends in Kenya and outside, with the various agencies.
And if you missed any of those two debates, the final chapter in the presidential debate series, as we now count down 13 days to the August 9th polls, then you need to keep it Citizen TV and on our digital platforms as well. We will have more analysis in our bulletins all through tomorrow and on our